live, so don't say anything bad about it. Ay, ay, ay.
You're on the air.
Those things in Emerson, anything on that redevelopment stuff?
I just wanted to know what it was.
Drive past it all
I've
the
heard
time.
mixed things.
They're in litigation and stuff, right?
They've been.
For a while. What a mess.
Somebody said. I'll believe it when I see it. Right.
I did the next step is the housing element plan is due June 30th.
Yes, I got it only in paper. I didn't bring this.
Did you just fill this out, right? Good, thanks. I'm glad I asked.
It's nice here.
Just said, hey, just so you know the place before you say something.
No, I was talking to the lieutenant.
Day, huh?
It's a hot day.
Yeah, beautiful. I would have passed all the, what is it, weather at Hope, right?
Thank you, Michael. Everybody good? Great. I'll call the Borough Council meeting for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2005 to order. Statements. Notice of this meeting was published in the official newspapers and prominently posted in Borough Hall and filed with the municipal clerk in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. We'll do a Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Kelly?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please, Laura?
Sure. Mayor Koth,
Here.
Mr. Carnival,
Here.
Mr. Staff,
Here.
Mr. Tashian,
here.
Mr. Kern,
Here.
Mr. Ngalo,
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Great. Okay. First up on the agenda tonight for discussion is a sign request from Habitat for Humanity. Just to note, there is a resolution, or there's 25-120 on the agenda. If we're so moved to proceed to allow them to do that, I think it's just a typical project sign that they want to put up at the site, announcing their project, listing some of their sponsors. They'll submit a proof to us of the final signage before it gets posted. Any questions, comment, or discussion on that?
I'm fine with it.
All good.
Wait, just one question, Mayor. You mentioned the sign's going to have sponsors on it?
Yeah, so in your packet on Thursday, I believe there was a
Oh, that's right.
image.
Yep.
That is from a project at the site they're working on right now.
Remember.
They would have to submit the final proof to us for approval.
Okay.
And I think we might recommend to them versus the placement they've indicated on the site plan. Perhaps it's more parallel to Kindercamack Road, so it can be seen by traffic
I remember seeing
traveling
it
in
now.
both directions versus just northbound.
Okay.
But it seems to be pretty
Yeah. No, I remember now.
rudimentary for their projects.
Looked at it on Thursday.
Yep. Okay, so if there's no issue with that, we'll move through that, and then there's a resolution approving that on the consent agenda. Next, for discussion, we have capital budget presentations tonight. I don't know, Katie, you want to speak to anything of the process, or we just want to start with Chief Moran and the fire department, who's first up on the list? Okay. Chief, welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Terry.
Is this your one again?
Sorry, it doesn't meet your standards.
Thanks, sir.
It writes.
That's fine.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Hey, thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So what I handed out, it's really divided between items that we have proposed funding in 2025, as well as items that I refer to as out-year requests. So we were asked to provide numbers in the 6-year horizon. So we did that. In the fire department, we do plan out 6 years. We actually plan out to 10. Trying to get a sense as to what's coming so we could help inform the council in terms of what we expect. So in terms of 2025 numbers, the first is our annual PPE replacement, personal protective equipment replacement. We're proposing to purchase and replace gear to ensure compliance with NFPA. So the turnout gear we have has a 10-year life. So we have a process where we monitor that, monitor our inventory, and we have to replace sets of gear as it's getting to the 10-year mark. Gear now, a full set of gear costs about $4,100 in today's time. And so that number's been going up. That's where it is. So this includes, the number we're requesting for 25 is $35,000. That includes turnout gear for members whose gear is aging out. It also includes some Swiftwater gear. So our members also have, we have members that have met certain qualifications for operating in Swiftwater. They can't operate in Swiftwater using turnout gear. It's not safe and it's not allowed. So some of the turnout gear, Swiftwater gear we have is old, it's dried out, it leaks, so we need to replace it. What we're asking for is actually supplementing a grant that's outstanding. So in this year's budget, we had $25,000 that we've spent. We're waiting for that gear to come in. Once that gear comes in, we submit the invoice to the grant, the agency that awarded the grant. That is going to facilitate some Swiftwater that's not gear that's not in here. So, you know, we've always tried to do the best we can with grants, and we've been successful so far. We're continuing to look at that. In the out years, I've noted what we're looking for here, and I'm going to provide the required file to Katie. But 2026 is going to be a little bit of a higher watermark, and then we're looking at $30,000 a year beyond that, and some of that is because the cost is increasing. As you know, we've made a lot of efforts to increase membership, and some of this reflects with increased membership comes some increased cost. So that's what's happening with the turnout gear. Second item relates to our fitness facility at the firehouse. So for those who were at the firehouse in November, you kind of walked through, we showed you what we have in terms of a fitness facility in the firehouse for our members. This has been something that has been a real success for us. You might be aware the number one fatality of firefighters is a heart attack. And so one of the things that we're proposing for the next couple of years is to, in one case, replace a treadmill in the firehouse and also to add another piece of cardio equipment in the firehouse, which would be a Stairmaster. So the gym is, if you drive past the firehouse, you'll see cars there at all hours and members working out in the gym. So it's a great thing for us. We're looking to, I'm looking to continually support it from a leadership role. And what we're looking for here is additional help upgrading the assets in the gym for the membership. Last item in terms of a 2025 ask is around communications. This includes the purchase of radios. And we have been fortunate through a large grant we got several years ago where we had the ability to outfit every member with a radio. That's really best practice from a safety standpoint. What we're proposing is kind of in line with the continued growth of our department and need just to supplement the radios we have in inventory for new members that we're planning to come in. So we've been doing very well on that front, and as I said, some of that comes with cost. And then I'll just touch quickly on the out-of-year requests. What's coming out in the future in between next 2 years, I guess actually next year, is a replacement of our firefighter escape kit. So we have all members in our department have an escape kit around the waist, which allows us, it's referred to as a bailout kit. It allows us to be able to bail out of a second, third floor window safely in the case of emergency. So these are kits that thankfully we haven't had to use in an emergency, but they're there for firefighter safety. The kits we got had a 10-year life. That's coming up in 2026. We are going to be beginning, even with the purchases I have under the annual PPE, to begin to replace them piecemeal, so we don't have to have a large purchase. But what we're proposing for 2026 is the cost to replace the balance plus the training on the new system. They've totally re-engineered the system. Next item is really the high water mark for what we wanted to present and what I wanted to talk about tonight. Just to really get on your radar is the replacement in the coming years for Tower 21. So Tower 21 is 22 years old. It's obviously our ladder truck. The NFPA recommendation for the working life of apparatus is 25 years. Right now, when we talk to our manufacturing rep, the delivery time for a ladder truck is about 4 years. And we're hoping that tightens up. The engine that we ordered last year had a delivery time between 2 and 3 years, so that's still in process. Ladder trucks seem to be longer. The pricing of a ladder truck we recognize is significant, and that's one of the reasons why I just wanted to get it on your radar. So if we ordered it today, it would come in at 26 years. We're not proposing that this become a 2025 capital item, but with everything that you have in front of you, what we're really recommending is that in the next couple of years, that this be something that the council considers when you're planning the rest of your capital items, recognizing, we recognize a significant amount here. We spent a lot of effort to try to keep the apparatus and keep the ladder functioning, right? Our department engineer spends a lot of time with it. And what happens, like anything else, as the equipment is aging, things start to break. So last year we had an emergency request. We had to replace a single part. That was a $50,000 repair. The ladder truck does suffer some hydraulic leaks at times. It's going to be going down for maintenance for hydraulics again soon. And one of the things that we did reach out to the manufacturer of the aerial, the tower itself, several years ago and asked, what can we do to prolong the life? Their response was really, you just have to use it. So there's not like we can just go replace the hydraulics and extend it. So that is something we do. We try to exercise it as much as we can to keep it in shape, but like anything else, it's an aging piece of equipment, and it's going to eventually have to be replaced. So that's the purpose of raising this tonight. And the last one is a replacement of a command vehicle. This one goes out to 2029, but again, in the spirit of the ask for a 6-year look, we generally replace our command vehicles every 10 years. So we wanted to put that out there, and we just kind of putting a number out there, expecting an increase in costs, just so you have it in your planning. So that's a brief walkthrough. If there are any questions I could answer.
Yeah, Chief, where are we with the order for the engine? I think we did that last year or the year before.
Yeah, we ordered that last year. That's still in process. We haven't had a report that it's kind of on the line yet, so it's still in their queue. We expect that hopefully next year. Yeah.
Chief, I got one question. The ladder truck, the existing one.
Yes.
What would be this estimated salvage value in that? I don't know if it'd be salvageable, or would we outright sell it?
It would have a value. I wouldn't, Roger, top of my head. I can get you an answer to that. I don't have a.
Just a curiosity
wouldn't want to
question,
guess.
because I'm assuming that would offset some of the costs.
Yeah.
Chief, again, thanks for all you do. Just wondering if you had seen recently a couple of front-page articles in the Wall Street Journal about the manufacture of fire trucks and how private equity has cornered the market, and there's some legislation to kind of bust them, and that's some of the reasons with the cost and the delays and the few number of manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera. That's everybody's dealing with this issue that we're dealing with. Have you heard about that?
I did.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I have seen it. I mean, clearly what's been a challenge for the whole fire service has been the delay in getting this equipment and the appreciation of the costs, right? I mean, there's no doubt. So that's one of the reasons why when, for tonight, recognizing where the costs of ladder trucks have gone, why we wanted to bring it forward now when it's at 22 years. Because it doesn't appear, Tom, unless something significant happens,
Yeah.
that,
Just
the
very
price has been the price.
unfortunate that one private equity firm came in and bought out all the manufacturers, and now it's cornered the market and basically is holding everybody hostage to their whims, right? Cost.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the details of all I remember. I read something that came from 2 members of the Senate.
Yeah.
Great, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Next up, Lieutenant Egg with the Police Department.
Thank you, sir.
Are we buying by the pound here, or? Okay. Beautiful.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I have 9 items. One is not on the list, but I'll get to that towards the end. So our first, I'll start with the biggest one. It's a replacement of our body-worn cameras for both the ones we wear and the ones that are installed in the vehicles. At the end of 25, the 5-year contract is up with Motorola. We've had the cameras replaced once. The body-worn cameras were replaced at 2.5 years in the contract. We've had problem after problem after problem with them. Customer support has not been great, and almost, I wouldn't say daily, but at least weekly, there's some issue with them syncing with the car, downloading into headquarters, and as you can imagine, if we miss something, and the video is gone, or it's fails to download, that's a potential problem. So Lieutenant Gangemi has put together an estimate, and it's about $50,000 a year for 5 years. And that would be a replacement with a new company that has much better customer service, works much better. The lieutenants reached out to several other towns that use this other brand, and they basically said, we don't have problems. They just work. So it's a 5-year proposal. So that's the first item.
Quick question, Lieutenant.
Sure.
When was the current ones put in place? What year?
21. And when we got them, we actually got almost $51,000 grant from the state. I'm unaware of any grant money at this point because 5 years ago, it was a requirement by the state that all police officers in the state of New Jersey had to wear a body camera.
So similar cost, it seems like $50,000 now, and this is 50, basically the same cost, right?
This is more than what the first round was in 21. It was about almost $20,000 a year for 5 years.
Ah, okay. So it's significant, okay.
Vic, can you describe the program? I'm assuming there's a program. If the contract's up with Motorola, you want to phase in a new vendor, the exponential cost per year is over a new term of a contract, so this is like a lease sort of a thing?
Yes.
Like they own the equipment, we're paying them, if it breaks, they fix it.
They
It's
just fix it.
Comprehensive sort of arrangement?
When a camera breaks, we send it to them, they send us a new one.
Right. So we're paying for the equipment and the service.
Correct.
They own it. We're
Correct.
buying the usage of it.
Yes.
The Motorola contract, does all that equipment get returned to them, or is that the borough's equipment then that gets auctioned or something to that effect?
I would have to find out. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. If you don't do something or extend the Motorola contract, you have to act by the end of this year, if I heard you correctly. right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And how long does it generally take to deploy? How long did it take to deploy the program last time in terms of when you would hope to start this process in order to meet your deadline of the end of the year?
If I recall, it was several months.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
our second, the department's second request is a traffic camera. This is a completely new system. It's in conjunction with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. And so what's happening in the county is there's traffic cameras being set up at larger intersections throughout the county. And the infrastructure we would pay for, but we would also be able to monitor that that intersection. The first one we're proposing is Forest and Oradell. It's a busy intersection. We have had some serious accidents there. And then going forward, if we like how it works, we would propose doing the corridor on Kinnicamack Road, Oradell and Kinnicamack, Ridgewood, Kinnicamack, New Milford Ave and Kinnicamack. And once we purchase the system and have it installed, the yearly fee is very, very small. It's, as of today, it would be $120 for 5 years, just for to keep the connection. And that would increase traffic safety. It would assist officers in completing accident reports. And God forbid there's a serious accident, now we would have a video record of the incident.
Couple of quick things. This is
Sure.
supported, as you said, by the prosecutor's office, so therefore we're clear from that. But it is not also to issue tickets because
No.
I don't think that cameras can
In no
issue
way,
tickets.
shape, or form would this be a red light camera
Yep,
or a
good.
speed camera.
Okay.
That's not the intent in any way, shape, or form. But it
I
could
would-
assist an officer in figuring out the cause of an accident.
And this would be on cellular or
Cellular. yes.
Wi-Fi?
Cellular,
Cellular. And I assume that there's a cloud storage,
yes.
and the town pays for that, or is that paid for by the
It's the prosecutor's office. It's
the
my
prosecutor's
understanding.
office maintains it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lieutenant, just with that intersection you mentioned, how does that work with Paramus? If they're half of it and we're half, or is it?
Yeah, it would, I haven't spoken to Paramus specifically about it.
Would it be sharing with them, or who takes
Yeah,
control there?
like-
If there's an accident, whoever gets called, or
Well,
president?
the line is split down the middle of
It's
the
literally down the
intersection.
middle.
So anything on the east side or west side, that's the dividing line.
Okay. And once you hit your lights, is that when the camera goes on? Is that how, in terms of the first one, your camera's on your,
Our body worn cameras, yeah, when our lights go on, they activate.
they go on?
Yes. It's all automatic.
And they stay on until the lights go off?
No, until the officer turns them off, because there could be situations where the officer has to turn it off.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Lieutenant, these traffic cameras, could they be viewed live?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry if you already said this, you may have. So you have 8509 in 2025 and 8509 in 2026.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're hoping to do two? Another intersection in a future year?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are these in other towns already that have proven to aid the police in determining cause and monitoring issues of traffic?
I would have to get back to you on that. This was another traffic program that Lieutenant Gangemi was involved in, but I can get you that answer.
Thank you.
Number 3 was a new Alka-Test machine. I believe this has been in capital requests for several years now. The total cost, the last that I was told, was about $25,000. So $12,000 I would take out of one of our seizure funds, and the other $12,000 would be through a capital. So it's just, I believe this has been on every year, so we're just continuing. The latest information I have is the end of the year, late 25, early 26, but that could change. That's the best information I have.
And what you're referring to is when we'll be required to have this machine.
Correct.
Because every year we've anticipated that the requirement would be in place and then it gets delayed.
It just keeps,
Right.
there are other counties are actually using the new machine, but Bergen County is going to be last, so. The next two kind of go together, and I'll start with the handguns. I'm requesting 5 new sidearms. A couple reasons for that. One is we're hopefully hiring a Class 3 officer for Bergen Catholic, and I know we've had discussions about hiring a Class 3 at Oradell Public. Those officers need to be armed. We supply them with a firearm. Currently, we have 1 handgun in reserve. Ideally, we should have 2 to 3. Reason being, if we have a major malfunction and the gun goes out of service, God forbid we have an officer involved shooting, that gun would go out of service. And another program I would like to start, or continue, because it has just started, is giving retired officers their duty weapon. I think that's a great thank you, and I'd like to continue that. So when that happens, we don't have a weapon to recycle to give to another officer. So I just think it's the best way to do it is just to order 5, get them, because according to the firearms instructors, it could take a couple weeks to get them, or it could take 8 months. It just depends when they're manufacturing that specific weapon that we require. Next is the radios. We're going to need an additional radio for the Class 3 at Bergen Catholic. And then if we ultimately, another Class 3 ends up at Oradell Public, they would need a portable radio. Unfortunately, they are pretty expensive. I put 1 down this year, 1 down for next year, because I think we could get through, possibly if we could only have the funds for one, I think we could get through and put off the expense of the second one till next year. New police vehicles. The current cost for one Tahoe, fully equipped, is about $87,000. I'm requesting two. Generally, we've been doing 2 and 1, 2 and 1, and that seems to have worked well for us. This year normally would be a request for one, but I'm asking for two, because I know another department is looking for a vehicle, and we have one vehicle that has high mileage on it that really has to be replaced, and the second one has some mileage on it, and as we all know, our cars are used quite a bit around the clock, a lot of wear and tear, maintenance, and it only goes up. The longer we keep them, the higher the maintenance costs. So just trying to be proactive. And again, to find vehicles, this is a newer issue with purchasing vehicles. Historically, when we wanted to buy a vehicle, we could go to the dealership and under state contract and get a vehicle, and it was a relatively quick process. Today, it could take 6 to 8 months. It's just what they have in stock, and it can take time. So I'm trying to get a little bit ahead of the curve in case this is a year that it took a while. I know Sergeant Pressburger had reserved 2 last year, but we weren't sure the direction we were going to go, and those 2 vehicles are gone. So he's going to have to find 2 more. It's just, I wouldn't expect a dealership to hold vehicles for us on the possibility of us buying 1 or 2.
Lieutenant, just for clarification, this line item was taken off of the operating budget, and now we're
Correct.
looking at it for...
Correct. Yes. I failed to mention that. Historically, our vehicles were always put in operating, and we paid them out over 3 years. But now we're going to be putting them in capital, so that's why you have to see that large number.
Thank you.
The next 2 are both traffic related. Flashing speed limit signs. Requesting 2 signs, and one of the nice things about these 2 signs is it's a regular speed limit sign, but it has flashing lights, kind of like the flashing stop signs, same idea. But the nice thing about these is we'd be able to move them to areas where we're getting a lot of complaints. So if we got them now, we'd probably put them in Grant Ave, maybe an area of Kinnicamack, and then in 6 months, maybe we get a lot of complaints on Woodland Avenue, just to pick a street. We could move one there. So that's one of the nice things about it.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
How does this differ, or how might this be more effective than the variable message boards or the speed boards you have that you use now? Like you have one, I guess they're fixed in certain locations that will tell you you're going too fast, slow down. I think the message boards we have also have a radar capability to them, or no?
No.
So this is
So
filling...
this is a fix. It's just a speed limit sign. It doesn't tell you your speed. It's printed 25 miles an hour with the lights on it. It's as simple as that.
And is it stationary, like you put it in the
It is stationary on a post,
Okay.
but they are easy to move. They're solar powered.
Okay.
So that's one of the advantages of it.
So this is filling a void for which we don't have a tool to address that issue.
Correct.
Okay.
And the next item on the list is the flashing pedestrian push-to-cross signs. As we all know, we have several on Kinnicamack. The 2 that we're proposing, one would be at Kinnicamack and Orchard, and the other one would be at Kinnicamack and Argyle. They're effective. People see them. People slow down. So, any questions on?
So I do have a question, and
Sure.
I think it's rhetorical, but these are Are these some of the earlier versions of the signs we've put in that were a little bit more rigid and robust than the recent ones that have been going in that are a little flimsy and seem to be malfunctioning a lot?
These are the latest, greatest, newest technology, robust. The company actually comes in and installs them.
Okay.
So that's why the price is slightly higher, because it's not done in-house. It's done by an outside contractor that specializes in doing this. They come in, they set the whole thing up, make sure it works, and it's done quickly.
And any issues they take care of cost-wise.
Yes. One last thing that I did not get to put on the list, it's in the area of about $30,000, would be reestablishing the department's motor unit, a motorcycle. It's for special events, community events, funerals, escorts, patrol. It would not be it would not replace a patrol vehicle. It would be in addition to. It would give guys an opportunity to get some more training. We could get involved in some more things. And I think would be a great community policing tool. Just something I'd like to put on your radar.
You sure you don't want more of these? It's like 3 motorcycles to 1 car.
Well, hey, if I'll find a use.
You may have a storage issue at back.
So that is my capital budget. And so in each packet, I printed out a summary, as you can see, and then each project with a little summary of what it is and why. And then after that, I printed out the proposals I got from different officers in the department, some information. So if you want to do a little more of a deep dive into the details of what it is, what it entails, you can read it on your own. And of course, if you have questions, you come back and you can talk to myself. The traffic stuff is for Sergeant Pressburger, Lieutenant Kangemi. So.
Just to go back to the Alco test machine, I know you said it's been on here for a while.
Yes.
Is there a lifespan at which the machine is supposed to be replaced?
It's up to the state of New Jersey. They tell us when it gets replaced.
So you haven't gotten that call yet?
It's going to be the end of the year or early next year.
You superseded the manufacturer's warranty, I guess.
I don't know. How long have we had this one for? I'm just trying to gauge a lifespan out of the equipment. Over 5 years?
At least 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
Probably closer to 15 years now.
I think we bought it last time we were.
It's been a while. So.
No arguments here.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do, Vic. So
Okay.
just commenting on the summary chart, the Alcatest you have down is 24,000. Reality, it's 12,000.
Correct.
So we should change that to 12 in our notes here.
Well, if you read the project sheet, not the summary, but the actual project where I
Yeah,
have
I
it
know
listed,
you said
it's 12 and 12.
12,000 funds.
Yeah, it's 12,000 with.
But for our concern, it's 12,000 for capital.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's not 24 as the summary says. And then why, this really may be more a Katie question, why the vehicle now is a capital budget as opposed to operating?
Well, Roger, I'll impart while Katie's coming up here. So the vehicles always could have been capitalized as long as they're a sport utility vehicle. When they were cars, you could not capitalize them, which is why we did the basic lease to own over the 3 years. We made that payment. It's a big ticket item. It's something that I think we need to plan for. As Vic was explaining, cars are usually reserved 6 to 12 months in
SUV
advance.
answers my question.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to capital
Yes.
budget now, because we didn't in the past.
I
That's why
think it's more appropriate in the capital budget.
I'm not disagreeing, I just want to know why the change.
Vic, one other thing, in the just as I'm looking down for the total, the motorcycle needs to get added into the summary sheet, right?
That was a last minute add-on.
Okay.
I apologize.
So you have to add 18,000 to that. That's 3, I can't see
You
that.
got the 12 from the 24 and just neutralize it.
Yeah. 326.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Egg?
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Depkin is next, but he saw me this morning. Said he wasn't feeling well. I haven't heard from him since then.
He was outside a minute ago.
Is Mr. Depkin out there?
He was. He was in the corridor before.
Okay.
I'm up. Hello, everyone.
Mr. Depkin, how are you?
Let me plug this in. Have we been using this?
Up to you. If you dare.
Yeah, we'll see. Alrighty. Okay, doesn't seem to be working. Okay. The budget's requests that I was looking for, we spoke about briefly at other years and other budget requests. The first one is the DocuWare. That's the cloud-based digital system that or digitizes all the paperwork in the office. Most of the permits that would be coming in the future, a lot of them will be coming in PDFs and so forth. The ones that don't, those will be usually the residential properties. They'll end up being, we are going to have to digitize. There were three options when we sat down and spoke with, DocuWare. And one was for them to come in and do the entire filing system themselves. And that would be an expensive, procedure. Block and lot files would need to be culled, and then we would need to digitize those. I think one of the recommendations was to, at this point, digitize from this point on, and then when we have an intern or so, we have time to come in and take care of the block and lot files second. And then third would be any filing that is downstairs in the file room. File room tends to be a little bit chaotic at this point, and it's hard to find items if, say, an Oprah request is coming in. There's just no. There used to be, a pretty clean area that we could go pick up files and go back up. Now we can't find a lot of them. Basically, what they did was give us a 3-year lease program, and it was $773 a month. That's $9,276. I asked if they could do further reach, and it was 60 months, five years, and that reduced it to $703 a month, and that's $8,436. So that's the items that we would be looking for. They would be leasing us a a large scanner that would take plans, take any large items that came in. So even construction plans and mapping would be able to be digitized and on the cloud. That's DocuWare. Does anybody have any questions, or you want me to go through all of them?
Why don't you go through all of them?
Okay. Spatial data logic. We've gone through this before in regards to hosting, getting a cloud base in for that. They gave us 4 options, and I think if you want, we can go through the 4, but I think if you want to keep it at a low cost, the license subscription for the hosting, the seats that we use, it's 12 seats, and that would be $18,000. That's $1,550 per seat. And to host, do the hosting into the cloud, that would be another $5,400. Total of $24,000 per year. There's other options if you want to go out further, but they give you discounts. But it's pricey in the beginning. Option 4 is $120,000. They give you a 20% discount, which is $96,000, and that's for a 5-year lease. And then at that point, it's $24,000 from that point on. The last one that's looking for budgets, and I don't know whether you want to discuss it tonight, is the part-time inspector's salaries. Is that something you're interested in now?
Not a capital item.
So the last item is municipal, the credit card processing. And it's no cost to the borough, and it blends in. It's a third party that works with Spatial Data Logic. And what happens is, they take care of it. We can have a presentation from Municipay. We haven't done it yet, but if the mayor and council are interested in it, we could, have them come in and show us the program.
So I think that's already in the hopper to be bid. The council's already
Excuse me?
authorized. Council's already authorized that to go to RFP for a third-party processor for credit cards.
Okay.
So Municipay could be one of the respondents to it. There are others out there.
Okay, all right.
We'd have to check.
Is that something that I should notify them or just let them ride?
No, it's an operating thing. Ed could talk to you more about it offline.
Okay, all right.
So really your 2 asks are technology-driven platforms for digitizing and archiving files, and then processing your permit processing engine, which is SDL.
Yes.
I think we just need to figure out and break down what are really operating subscription costs and what may be capital costs if there's acquisition of equipment or a one-time, undertaking of, say, having them do the mass scanning of the documents that may be able to be capitalized. So I think that's just a little further discussion with the CFO and our auditor on what the split on that is. Speaking for myself, this is something that, I would certainly like to advocate we move in the direction of digitizing. It's the way things are working today, so we need to have a strategic plan on how to get there.
Yes, and the course that I was mentioning, that's for the municipality. That's just not our department. We have 5 seats in our department. There's 12, 13 seats that are being used. So that's the entire municipal cost on those items.
Okay.
And Mayor, I know the inspectors' salaries are not capital, but we are going to have to make some time to revisit that. It's not significant, but I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm available.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
Next up is DPW, Mr. Manfredonia.
to it.
Yeah, okay. No, let's just do it. No, it's not gonna work.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, the PowerPoint won't work due to the hookups, so I will just go through what we're asking for. As far as for capital, for the vehicle and equipment requests, we have 3 asks. We're going to start with replacing dump truck 4, which we're expecting to be $525,000. Our current truck is a 2005 International. It's a 20-year-old truck. The motor was replaced in 2019. It continuously has problems breaking down. The salter unit in it is over 30 years old. It breaks down almost every winter while we're using it. We're looking to replace it with a hook truck. That hook truck will be with the plow, salter, and we're looking to add a ODB leaf vac attachment to it as well. With that attachment, it will be similar to the trailer that we have, except it'll be on the back of the truck. It'll be able to fit down smaller areas. It fits 3 times the size of the trailer that we have, and with the new streets that we have, I know there was some concern last year with the tint claw and the scraping of the streets. This would eliminate that. So that is the truck. Next, we have a replacement of one of our Mason dump trucks. It's a 2008 Ford F450. The truck is on its 3rd engine. It has major HVAC work that's been done, including removing the entire dashboard and heater case, which needs to be replaced. Last winter, the transmission began to slip during the snow season. So that one is something we're asking for in an amount of $80,000. And our final request for the vehicle equipment portion is replacing our Ravo sweeper. Currently, we're requesting $600,000 for the Ravo sweeper. Currently, our sweeper is 11 years old. It is becoming increasingly unreliable. We have more engine and sweeping hours than any other Ravo in the United States. It has the highest road to sweep ratio in the nation, demonstrating the high use and demand. We're looking to get a fully electric Ravo model, which offers the 0 emissions, lower fuel and maintenance costs, and it would align with the sustainability goals of NJA to push towards the green fleet modernization, as well as a 8-year warranty, full coverage.
These are all vehicles that we're looking to purchase in 2025.
2025, yeah. For the upcoming years, I have 2026, we're looking to replace our Caterpillar loader. 2027 to replace another hook truck and also the asphalt trailer. 2028, we would like to purchase a sewer camera trailer to help with the cameraing and inspection of our sewer lines and replace truck 7 Mason dump. 2029, replace truck 16, which is a work pickup truck. And 2030, we're looking to replace another Mason dump. So all those vehicles will be out of their useful lifespan once we hit the projected years.
And Phil, remind me the ages of the 3 vehicles.
The truck 4 is a 2005 International. The Mason dump is a 2008 Ford F-450. And the Ravo is it is 2013, I believe. I can get you the exact year of the Ravo.
Thanks.
Phil, on the sweeper, the electric model is 600. We currently have a diesel-powered model, correct?
Yes.
What's the cost differential between the fully electric model and replacing it in kind with a diesel-powered?
So the diesel-powered one is $321,000. However, with the Dave, the mechanic, he went through and looked up the cost of all the replacement kits and diesel usage, and it would benefit for us to get the electric copy.
Over what lifespan are we looking at?
For the electric or for the?
Well, I
for
guess
the
in
one we currently
doing
have?
that analysis to say that the electric is more efficient dollar and cents
So
wise.
we only were able to go back into our fuel usage to 2021.
No,
and
but
we
what I'm saying is, how long do you envision the useful life of the sweeper to be? Is it a 10-year period? Is it a 12-year period? Ours is currently 12, I guess, right now.
Yeah, we're going on year 12.
So if you're trying to amortize those maintenance costs that we'll no longer have to determine whether or not the electric is more cost efficient over the life of the machine, I'm just at what's that duration we're using?
So we'd probably go about the same amount, the same 11 years, 12 years with the diesel model, with the upkeep that we've been doing with it.
Phil, with the sweeper, do you know if there's like a service warranty on there? Because if it is electric, we wouldn't be able to really mechanically maintenance that. So is there a
full 8-year warranty?
And they have technicians that would come out to.
Yes, and all of our mechanics would be trained on that from their mechanic staff.
Do we know if there's still financial incentives from the state to offset the acquisition of that kind of technology?
I can find out for you and get back to you.
Okay.
Okay, next, I have the buildings and grounds requests. We'll start with the UST removal and relocation of the pumps. That's $115,000. The existing system that we have is 4,000-gallon underground storage tank that needs to be removed due to the age, environmental risk, and involving regulatory standards. With this cost included with what we've already have in capital in the past for the remediation, that would get us professional environmental oversight, removal and disposal of the tanks, site restoration, installation of a new, safer above-ground fueling dispensing system, and the moving of our gas buoy fuel management system to be next to our new fuel cube that we have in the back. That way we'd still be able to track the fuel usage and who's using fuel for what vehicle. Next, we have the preparation of an MS4 infrastructure map. The DEP now mandates a full MS4 municipal separate stormwater system infrastructure mapping as part of the new stormwater regulations. The deadline for that is January 1st, 2026. This mapping will include accurate GIS-based locations of all stormwater features, electronic database submissions to the states. The funding will support field verification and data collection, mapping software, labor, and GIS technician services. That is $124,800. Our third building request would be $50,000 for installing a 20 by 20 steel mezzanine in the DPW. This platform would go in the southeast corner of the garage. It would address our chronic storage shortfalls, and also would assist with the flooding that happens at the Public Works building approximately 3 to 4 times a year. We'd be able to keep more of our important belongings on the mezzanine. Currently, when we do have flood situations, we have plywood that we have to lay across the lifts, and we move everything on top of there and lift it so that nothing gets damaged. The fourth request is $3,000 for a calcium tank containment area. The NJDEP permit regulations for Tier A municipalities are requesting that you get a 2,000, we currently have a 2,000 gallon bulk chloride tank for the calcium for the salt. They requesting that you have a secondary containment capable of holding at least 110% of its volume. The deadline to implement this is 12 months from the effective date during 2024. The project what we're going to do is we're going to install a concrete or polydike pad, which will be able to fit, if there was a leakage, it would all be contained within that wall. And that is all I have.
So Phil, the calcium's used to treat the salt as it leaves the salter before it hits the road, right?
Yes.
So you're filling the saddle tanks on each of the trucks before they go out?
Yes.
Have we done any kind of analysis on the dollars and cents of buying pre-treated salt versus the additional cost of the saddle tanks and the calcium system, the secondary containment, how much we spend in calcium? Is there any kind of comparison we've done?
I believe Dan has it. I can get it to you. However, I know last year was a big issue with the treated salt. No one was able to get it. So.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Phil?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Have a good one.
Next up is OPTV, Mr. Basink.
I apologize for the last meeting we had because I thought that was our capital presentation, but obviously it wasn't. So anyway, I covered a lot of it last go around, but I'll reiterate what we have. I wanted to get 2 new computers for our downstairs because one is running XP, the other one is running Windows 7. And they have varied uses, both from editing point of view, creating the DVDs, doing the titling for them. The other computer has titling capabilities for the switcher and has some shared duties as well. And also controls YouTube now since we're doing that this year. Second thing is a production desk. I put the control room together basically with spit and polish, with some tables I was able to abscond with here and there that are old, and we don't really have enough room on the production tables even to put papers at this point. So I would really like to get one that would be more suited for us. The other thing is it's a new remote camera. The camera that we had was analog. It was the first camera we actually bought when we came on the air in 2006. It's had a lot of use. It's an analog camera to begin with, so it's a 4:3 ratio camera. And so it's basically doesn't have any use anymore. And I'd like to get one for being able to shoot different things outside. A lot of times I've been using my camera, but if I'm not available, there's no camera for anybody else in our group to use. Then if I have some money left over, I want to get 2 intercom belt packs and 2 headsets. And that's about it.
You have any questions for Nick?
Total cost?
About 9,000.
For everything?
I think so.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it. Next up is administration, Mr. Hines.
Mr. Mayor, Council, admin is going to report on the following departments. For road improvements, the recommendation is for $600,000. For tree planting, $30,000. For a new addition to capital improvement, digitalization. Actually, I implemented for the first time digitalization in Closter and Bogota. Turned out to be actually a great success. Secondly, this cannot happen without the input from the clerk, because under the statute, the clerk decides how the project is set up, what documents can be discarded, what documents must be safe kept, and therefore digitalized. So I went to the basement once, that was enough, and this is a very important project to begin. It's not a one-time. This is going to be every year to do the full year. And this $50,000 could also, two departments primarily use digitalization, clerk and building and land use. So this money could be shared with both departments. The next issue is IT. I've spoken with the chief financial officer. We're recommending an increase of $40,000 in that department, primarily for laptops. We're trying to move to a period where we can work remotely, weather conditions, whatever reasons, and this will help further that goal. The last section is going to become under the category of recreation. You did not hear a recreation budget presentation prior. This year, the administration is recommending we use the grants that we have achieved and are applying for. And they would be the following. Memorial Field Trail Stewardship Project. Now, I'm going to give you the gross number because the way the grant system works is you have to put money up, and then the county will pay you 50% later. So for that project, we're asking for $142,230. The next project would be for the Parcells Complex pedestrian walkway. That price would be $194,815, reminding everyone that you would divide by half our share. The next is a major project which we are applying for. This will be the complete renovation of the pickleball and tennis ball courts. And that project is estimated, we're applying for $400,000 to the Bergen County Open Space Grant this year. And once again, that will be divided by two. And in fact, the borough engineer has already submitted a cost estimate for us to consider. So that would be the input for administration for 2025.
Ed, I got a question on the roads. You said 600,000. Did you include the extra 300 that the DPW recommended for road improvements?
Well, what I actually, well, I'm using the 600. That's your traditional number. This is for local roads. This is not including Department of Transportation grants.
Okay, thank you.
So your specific question was, did we consider the...
Yeah, because at our last DPW meeting, we recommended an extra 300,000 to take care of deteriorated roads within our...
Was that the list that I saw when I came back, of the list of, or evaluation of roads?
Yeah.
Yes. That is including that. Not that all of them can be done.
So I think with the previous funding that's been allocated, I think the 600 takes the paving pot to about $1.8 million. I don't know how that applies to the discussions the committee had, but
We have about like 1.2 that we calculated allocated for the two projects going on. And we're also hoping to knock out some of our top deteriorated roads.
Okay. Ed, can I go back on recreation? The 142, 230, 194, 815, are these for projects we've received grants for and need to provide the match?
We've applied for them, yes. That would include the trail stewardship and the pedestrian walkway. I know we've applied
Those are
for.
granted?
Huh?
They're not granted yet.
I'm not sure about the second. But I can affirm the 400,000, we're applying for that this year.
Right, so the 400 is a budget cap for redoing the tennis courts at Memorial because they're starting to crack and show their age. They need to be resurfaced. I think that the advent of pickleball has proven itself. Those are probably the most populated courts in the tennis pen up there, but tennis still remains strong. So I think we're looking to figure out how to maximize the court space, which makes this a comprehensive reconstruction of the courts versus just a resurfacing.
Within the same footprint, Mayor?
I believe so. It may have to creep a couple of feet to be able to get the safety clearances in between the courts, because I think what's being proposed is to double the amount of pickleball courts to 4 and still maintain 4 tennis courts. So it's just we're reorienting the way those courts function to be able to get 2 extra. So that project is one we're going to have our public hearing for tonight to apply to the county's open space trust fund. But we're required to match whatever they award us, which is traditionally not what we ask for. It's generally some portion thereof. So we would have to match the money and then make up any difference that the grant funding does not cover to complete the project. The question on the trail stewardship, so we have been awarded those grants, but if I'm understanding you correctly, we've not budgeted for our match before?
Katie?
That's correct.
The question is, have we budgeted for our match? I believe we have.
So we have received the grant letter in June of 2024. So at that time, it wasn't we didn't include it in the 2024 capital budget. So that's why we have to put in the match in the 2025 capital. But I have a copy of the award letter.
So how much was the award for?
The award is for $71,115, and it's from the Green Acres Matching Grant. It's from New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
And that's for the DPAC?
No, this is for the Memorial Field Trail Stewardship Project.
Right. So we have to double that.
We have to double that. Yes.
So our match is basically the same as what they've awarded us, correct?
Yes, correct.
So what's that number again?
$71,115.
Okay. So it's not necessarily 142, 230. It's 71,115, right?
Right, that's what Ed said. He said you have to hack everything that he's presenting.
Right, but I don't know that we need to bond for the money we're going to be reimbursed for. Why can't that be covered out of
Right, but
reserves?
Normally when we do a bond ordinance, and Rob, feel free to if you have any information. But when we do the bond ordinance,
anyway.
When we do the bond ordinance, we always have to say, okay, this is the total cost of the project, but we also have a verbiage in the bond ordinance that we're going to get some kind of a grants receivable, even from a DOT or from any kind of like a source of grants that we're going to get that from. So it's not going to be part of the, it's not going to be part of the authorized, but it's still going to be in the bond ordinance because we still need to have that money in place to spend it.
Correct. So what Katie was saying is we want to raise the full amount, even though the county's going to match us for cash flow purposes of the project. We want to be able to authorize debt for the full amount of the project, pay bills out. When that money comes in from the county, we can offset that for the permanent bonding of that debt. And what that money is, if we already permanently bonded anything and we get a grant down the road, we offset that money as a reserve for payment of debt that can be used down the road for later debt purchases or payments.
So my concern is that we don't end up with half the money sitting in the bond that's not spent because we've been reimbursed.
So that money would go to, say you permanently debt that, then you get that money.
Right.
It would go to a reserve that you can then use to reduce future debt obligations down the road.
So why couldn't we fund our match, right? Or no, I'm sorry, why couldn't we fund what's to be granted, since it's a reimbursable grant, out of our reserves or surplus?
You could, if you wanted to fund that extra piece. You could still use your reserves or surplus if that's the way that the mayor and council want to go.
All right, but your recommendation is that we would bond for the full amount.
We usually recommend that you bond for the full amount, kind of frees up the finance office, and then if you do get that grant, because you don't know when that grant money may come, and sometimes they anticipate grants that you might not get the full amount. So to avoid running into cash flow issues, you bond and take out the debt for the full amount. Then if those grants do come down the line, you kind of offset those extra money to offset future permanent debt fundings.
So they could be allocated to pay down the debt.
Correct.
But if we have the surplus now, to the mayor's point, right? I'm just talking about budgeting and costs for that specific project, that would make sense. If we had that, I think the mayor's point, if the other side of it would be, if we got paid further, if we bonded and the funds came in later, that would go into kind of a fund that we could use at our discretion for another project.
Correct.
So that to me would, it'd be difficult that we be kind of commingling projects and costs and almost look at that as found money at some point in the future, right? Just in terms of budgeting, where I think, in my opinion, it'd be cleaner, to the mayor's point, but $70,000, we're going to get the money at some point, and if we have that, a decent surplus.
Yeah, if you guys have the surplus and the reserves, then as long as it doesn't jam you guys up cash flow wise, then
That's-
it's obviously good. You could still do that. There's no problems with doing it that way.
And we get the
usually
money,
only
put the money back into the surplus, right? We get the
Correct.
70
Usually
grand.
suggest that other way for places that are kind of tight on their cash flow and
Right.
their capital, and they can't pay obligations as they come due. But if you have the luxury, you have the surplus, then it's totally okay to.
Yeah, where in the future you may not have the discipline if you see another 70,000 sitting in a kind of unspent capital account, you're going to look at it potentially as free money, right? And it's not.
So what was the other project for 194,815?
It was
Is that
DPAC
the
and
DPAC?
Memorial.
The DPAC trail. Yeah, so the 97,407, that's also a matching grant from the county trust fund to fund the Douglas Parcell Athletic Complex, the pedestrian walkway project. And we submitted the application in May of 2024. I believe it's still under review. I haven't received anything
For the
about,
grant from the county?
yeah, I
And I was
haven't.
awarded.
We haven't
Yeah,
awarded.
the letter was sent electronically, I believe. It was
Okay.
it was awarded.
Okay, because if I can get a copy, that'll be
I think
great.
there was also a grant from Green Acres on this too.
No, I think it was local rec.
Local, right?
Yeah, it wasn't the Green Acres. The Green Acres are just the Lotus Woods and Memorial.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, yeah, so that's also a matching grant of 97,407
Okay.
times 2.
So, sorry, John. Go ahead.
Do you know our number for capital reserves that we can allocate towards other things, other items?
Capital fund balance.
Yeah, is there a estimate?
I don't have it, the annual financial statement with me, but I can look and get back to you.
Thank you.
And in terms of these numbers, are they ballparks? Have they been bid out, the 192 spot 423? It's just kind of approximate.
Yeah, so those numbers, when we submitted the grant application, we used the going market rate, plus then usually we'll try to overestimate, just because we know it's not going to happen that particular year. So we try to have the number inflated for future costs. So the price, we don't know exactly where it's going to be at the moment, but
it's
that's where
ballpark.
yes.
And how about any schematic drawings or anything like that? Are they out there, or?
No, this was a funding phase, Tom.
Okay, it's not even, it's just.
Part of these funds would go to offset the soft costs of designing, and the construction documents,
So there's
hard
no-
cost estimate, bidding.
Okay. And there's not issues with wetlands or any of those things, or?
No, I mean, that's all going to have to be worked through during the whole design process. Each site has its own unique features that we have to work with, and
just that it is feasible.
It should be. I mean, we'll have to meet with the DEP to review it.
Yeah.
And get the necessary permits. There's different things that can be done to work through the system to make sure that it meets the DEP requirements.
Yeah. And the Lotus Woods is not included here. Where is that status, or the funding?
It's already funded.
That's already.
That's already funded.
Okay.
Last year or the year before.
So that's on the front burner of moving forward? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So I think it would be helpful is for administration to kind of boil all this down and present, with Katie and Ed, wash out the capital and present to the council what you think is the necessary plan for 2025 in advance of our next meeting. We're going to have our public hearing on the operating budget. It would be nice to see what everything in aggregate looks like and what you're recommending so that we can have any final discussion on that prior to getting to a point where we can adopt both budgets, which I'd like to do before the end of next month.
Okay.
So not at our next meeting, but the meeting thereafter.
Kate, can I ask one question? Do we know how much debt we retired in 24?
In 24?
Because that's really what
I'm
we're
just getting my
replacing with
computer.
this ask.
In 24, there was $1,290,000 in principal paid off on the bonds, and there was a note payoff of $357,000, which was not required in the 25 budget. You did not have a note principal pay down, so that was a savings of $357,000 there in debt service.
Okay. And do we know what, 25 budget, we haven't even approved yet.
No, so you're looking at 1.6. So in the 25 budget, I believe you guys put in the 5% towards capital, which capped us out at about $3 million based on that number.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
5% of down payment.
So based on what's in the operating now, we would not look to exceed that in capital. We can certainly be under it because anything under it would just reduce the 5% in the operating. Okay, anybody have any other capital questions before?
Just to add to that, so 1.65 roughly
came off.
Anything above that's increasing our debt load.
Right.
Okay.
But by fixing, we fixed some of the floating, and that helps the operating, right?
We did.
That's the big thing, that we did that last year. That's the big savings of approximately $400,000.
Correct.
So that freed up the operating.
Yes, we permanent financed about $8.9 million of bonds earlier last year, and that saved the borough close to $400,000 because we're not obligated to do we don't have to pay the interest payment in the 2025
Each year,
budget.
yeah, but it goes to capital. We still owe it, yeah. Can you, if you have that handy, write it just our split of fixed to floating?
I do not have that off.
I think Katie has it, but yeah, it's always good
No,
to.
but I can get that for everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. If we don't have any more capital-based questions, then I would ask Mr. Lurch and Mrs. Chen to give us kind of an overview or a review of our operating process. You guys have done a little bit of washing post presentations and come up with what you're recommending as a final operating budget. I know that Robert your firm prepared kind of a summary synopsis of where we're at with that. Maybe you can just give us a full picture of where we're at with operating.
No problem, Mayor. So overall with the operating budget, we had started with an initial for per household $348 through various budget cuts, utilization of a little bit more surplus. We have gotten that number down to $190 per household, which is in line, a little less than last year. That in spending, you guys went from the initial budget request was a 4% increase on the taxpayers. After the initial cuts, we're down to a 2.27% increase on the taxpayers. Of that $190 increase, $67 of that is due to the reassessment of the properties, of the home values going from the $684,000, I believe, $632,000 to $792,000 per household. So 67 was unavoidable. $123 of that increase is on the budgetary side.
Robert, just to clarify, part of the 67 is there was a shift in the distribution of our taxation from commercial on to residential.
That is correct. It shifted, part of the reassessment shifted more of the tax levy onto the residential side as opposed to the commercial properties, which is why the residential piece is picking up that $67 increase without even doing any budgetary increase for the year. So just the reassessment alone adds $67 on the households.
Okay.
And yeah, of the major budgetary, obviously the major savings came in the debt service side. We had the $400,000 savings there. There are some obligatory increases that we cannot avoid, which is salary increases, garbage and trash removal, insurance. Those are items that have gone up over the years and are unavoidable increases that this, when you get the final bills, we just kind of have to pay. Overall, and then the other big saving that we had was obviously in the self-insurance, the prescription side. We saved about $600,000 there for the borough in this year's operating budget, which was a huge item for that.
Okay.
And those are, I guess, Katie, you have anything else?
How does that just seems like an absolute head scratcher. Like how could that?
So I know when I came in last year, I just big picture, I saw that for the prescription on the private plan that the borough used to be on, the premiums for these prescriptions per the month were going pretty much through the roof as compared to if you go to the state plan. So once you went on to the state plan, our costs went from around 60 to 70K a month to about $12,000 a month, 15,000, something like that. So I'm not sure why that private plan, why the premiums were going through the roof, why it was going, but they were unmonitored and the costs in that sense were significant. Because I remember when I came in on the budgeting process last year and Katie had shown me what was spent through only 2 or 3 months, it was already more than I think we had budgeted for in this year's entire budget.
Yeah, I would just think it'd be kind of budgeting 101 to any conference that somebody goes to for a municipality or somebody that's on the gaining side of the management to go to knock on every single door to win that business, right? I would think it'd be pretty low-hanging fruit. And
Tom, I'll step in. They were actually going unchecked for the last several years until we came in and we found an issue with the situation. We corrected it, and we're actually taking a recourse to fix it. I don't know, Phil, if you want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, because Robert's firm caught this shortly after they were
appointed
last, January 2024.
Yeah. And they audited it.
Went through all of it. And listen, a municipality the size of Oradell, it's pretty rare that they'd be self-insured for prescription. And in 2016 or 17, I think it was, whatever reason, they left state health benefits prescription plan and became self-insured, and the costs just went through the roof. Then once Robert's firm detected this and went through it, the borough's insurance broker got Oradell back into the state health benefits plan. It's a huge savings.
Yeah.
We're taking it up actually with the state
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the
it
moment.
just seems.
There's some other situations there that we can't get into right now, so.
Yeah, good. Glad you caught it, yeah.
Any other questions for Robert and Katie?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You had said we were taking additional dollars out of surplus. Where did we end our surplus in '24, and where are we starting the year at, and where do we anticipate ending the year at?
So the 24 AFS ended with a $4.6 million surplus, which you guys regenerated $2.2 million there. So the old fund balance, we had utilized $1.4 million in fund balance in previous years. We had bumped that to $1.6 this year. We have the anticipation that you're going to be able to regenerate that $1.6 million again, based on.
So we're going to stay
24's
flat
activity.
at 4.6 in surplus.
Correct.
Okay.
But we substantially regenerated and increased the surplus last year.
No, that's great. That's what I'm asking. I'm just trying to get an idea of where we're anticipating ending the year at.
Yep.
Because that's one of the biggest things that is our credit rating. And especially if we're going to have a big bond this year, we want to make sure we're still at that credit rating.
Yeah, we re-upped the credit rating last year. So what's the duration on the rating between reviews?
3 years.
Years?
3 years,
Okay.
I believe.
And Robert, the regenerating, what was the makeup of that?
Majority of, we had, you guys made another 235 above your anticipated revenues. Your Myrna was 158. You had 392 unexpended in prior year appropriations. You guys canceled 568,000. So what that is on your police outside duty, when you guys get reimbursed for that, you cancel whatever piece you get reimbursed for. So that was a big significant chunk. And then the other is your deferred local and regional school tax. That was 397,000 of it as well. And then current taxes was 526,000 you guys made on the current year tax collections.
Great. So process-wise, next meeting is our public hearing on the budget. Dieter will be here to make the presentation as he did last year for the public hearing. What I would ask is if we can get the summary of the budget where it's at right now with the backup distributed to the council for them to review what you're going off of, so that if they have questions they want to prepare for the public hearing in 2 weeks, they're able to do that. Once we have our public hearing, as I understand it, we probably could adopt the budget that night, but I think that it would make sense if we can we'll see in advance of next month's meeting what the proposed capital is, have an opportunity to discuss and review that, and then hopefully target our adoption for, I believe it's the 27th, the last Tuesday in May, and we would adopt both budgets at that meeting. Any questions?
Tuesday after.
Yeah, it is. Okay, thank you so much. You guys, Ed, Katie, Robert, you guys have done a really fantastic job getting
Thank
the
you.
budget to where it is so far.
Thank you.
Do we have any old business to come before the council?
Mayor,
Yes, John.
a motion for a slight recess?
5 minutes?
Sounds good.
Sure. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Paul, can you operate the camera?
You want to try?
Dave, when we.
I don't know if it's on. I might still be on, I don't know.
To just give an overview of the presentation of what we're planning for up there. Well, they do the minutes from the video.
Here's Nancy.
Is the camera on?
The camera is on.
Camera's always on.
Oh, it's always on.
Paul wants to volunteer. Okay. I will call the meeting back to order. 9:09. We have any old business to come before the council?
Mayor, I just wanted to check with Dave in terms of the Lotus Woods project and the sidewalk and paving issues that were raised, the concerns raised by some of our fellow residents. We're on top of that.
Sure, yeah, we're getting a meeting set, if I could talk, getting a meeting scheduled with the contractor to come back. We did meet with them originally at the end of last year, and then after the winter time, we did have additional issues over on Grant Avenue. So we'll be circling back with them to get everything finalized and hash out all the details with respect to the sidewalk stuff.
And I think there's issues on Iroquois as well.
Yeah, that's a different vendor
Okay.
than this one. But they've been notified as well, and we're working with them to try to get resolution to everything.
Okay, and do we have a timetable yet on when the Lotus Woods project is going to be started?
So we're in the process of getting the survey taken care of it. It's a large area, so we're using aerial imagery for it. So
okay,
that is
thank you.
That's in the works.
It's Iroquois, Seminole, Carroll, all of the paving and the curbing that was done in the fall.
Correct. Not the paving though.
No, curbing.
Curbing, yeah.
Curbing.
Yep.
It's deteriorating there too.
Yeah. And it's not all of it, but I know there's. I went out and looked at the different spots. I have
So
it
basically,
noted.
all the concrete that was put down last year has been a nightmare.
Concrete over the last 2 or 3 years.
For sure.
And I will tell you, it's not just an Oradell thing. It's throughout the whole state. We're seeing it in a number of our towns. You know, it's could be a number of different issues. Obviously, we've had the last 2 winters were a little colder than what we've seen. Not colder than what we've seen, years past, but of recently. That's some of it, but also I think some of it has to do with the product itself. And then even just from the construction side, the contractors are rushing to get things done as well. So it's a combination of things with it.
Dave, going forward, when we do concrete work, is there a way for us to put a testing mechanism in the contract? I know the example I'm going to use is the wrong one, where you'd normally do a break test if you need structural concrete, right? But is there a test we can perform to make sure that the concrete was within the limits of the spec, so that that can be ruled out versus any of these other environmental issues that are being brought up?
Yeah, I mean, is there stuff? I mean, I guess you could do a slum test just to check the water content, but that may not necessarily fix the whole issue, because the slum test gets done when the concrete's coming out of the chute.
Right.
Some of these issues are they're pouring the concrete, and then as they're progressing, they're not getting there fast enough, so they're adding more water to it to help finish the product. So that slump test wouldn't fix that problem per se. We've talked about it internally, because again, it's not just an Oradell thing, and it's really more of a headache for everybody than anything else. But
okay.
I know there's additives and different things you can do.
Right, retarders and other things.
Yeah, and even different scenario. I was just talking to one of my contractor buddies who does this stuff all the time as well. Like New York City, they're not allowed to put an additive in. In that scenario, he came up with this misting system. Basically, they take a pressure washer and have a mist just to kind of keep the humidity level to a certain point, so that the concrete's not setting. Not that we would do that, but there's different things potentially could be done.
Thank you.
Any new business to come before the council?
Mayor, I have just a couple of comments to make, if I may. I'll try to be brief, but just a comment on the three proposals that have been in front of our boards over the last year, if not longer, and I think, and I believe they've all three have passed, three unique proposals that are going to happen in town.
Turn your microphone on.
Sorry. Just again about the three proposals that have been approved in town. First, to thank our volunteers on those boards that served those many long nights and emotional testimonies. And I'm speaking about the Friendship House and United Way and Habitat. And they've all come concurrently, which is, to me, seems fairly unique, but I think it's a great opportunity for the borough to partner with those three groups that are new residents to town, to show leadership, and if you talk about community building and spirit building, to ensure that that we're there to make sure whatever way that we can to work together to partner with them to include them in everything that's going on with the borough, and I think that that's what makes those types of projects and community spirit makes Oradell a special place. So I just want to ensure that. I know we had a ribbon come for Habitat, and the Environmental Committee has discussed maybe putting some flowers and plants up at Habitat, and potentially for our Arts Festival to work with some of the adults at Friendship House. They're learning life skills. There's going to be, I believe, from the testimony, 80 or 90 adults up there. So I just wanted to stress that. I did actually sign up to volunteer for Habitat, and I'd be happy to lead that effort for the borough and any of those, whether one of those three, whatever they need. So that's real, and they're all coming in just coincidentally at the same time. And again, thanks to our volunteers that serve on those boards. I'm sure a lot of us watched it or attended those meetings, very passionate, emotional meetings from our residents, and it's real life stuff that we can't control a lot of things in our lives, but we can make a difference there and in showing real leadership. So I just wanted to stress that, and we'll talk about programs, and that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, next item is our public hearing on the submission of a 2025 Bergen County Trust Fund grant application. And before us tonight is Resolution 25-119, which is a declaration of intent to apply to the Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund for an amount of $220,435 to rehabilitate the Memorial Field tennis and pickleball courts. Dave, I would ask if you can give the council a brief synopsis of that project and what it entails.
Sure. So as you guys are aware, you have existing tennis courts over at Memorial Park that are there today. You currently have 4 tennis courts and 2 pickleball courts. Originally it was 5 tennis courts, but one of the courts was converted to 2 pickleball courts. What we're proposing as part of the grant application is to essentially come in, mill out the existing asphalt that's there, resurface it with 2 inches of new hot mix asphalt. But additionally, what we're going to propose to do is to expand the court itself an additional 3 feet to the east towards Prospect Avenue. That additional 3 feet will give us the clearance that's needed to essentially provide 4 pickleball courts and 4 tennis courts. The pickleball courts would stay in the current location. However, the orientation would turn 90 degrees. So you'd have 4 of them stacked side by side, 90 degrees to the existing tennis courts. As part of the improvements, we would separate the pickleball courts from the tennis courts so that the balls would not be going into the tennis court area, so that would be enclosed by itself. And then again, we would expand about 3 feet to the east towards Prospect Avenue. Reason towards Prospect, on the west side, based on old mapping of the site, there's some wetlands and buffers in that area, so we don't want to impede on those locations and have to get any DEP permits for it. Once the courts are resurfaced, we would then also have new color coding on them, as well as the striping for the courts.
Awesome.
Okay.
As far as the existing fencing and stuff that's there, it is in good condition, so we would keep that as it is today, with the exception of the additional fencing separating pickle and tennis, and then the expanded area.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody have any questions from the council? Now I'll entertain a motion to open it for public comment.
So moved. Move
I
second.
just have, is the surface the same for
Yes.
both? Yeah, okay.
Correct.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now open to public comment on this application only for grant funding.
On this grant? No.
Just on the pickleball courts.
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I would ask for a motion to move Resolution 25-119.
So moved.
Second.
We have a roll call, please, Laura?
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Tashian? Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo? Mr.
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So now I'll call for a motion to open to public comment on non-agenda items
So
only.
moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now open for non-agenda items.
Good evening, Paul Atsunas. We're approaching that deadline in June for the.
I got it.
We're approaching the deadline in June for the kitchen for the senior citizen building, and I haven't seen anything happening there, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen. But I put in an OPA request for the senior building grant that we had when we got the grant for the senior building, so that we could see the terms and agreement and to find out if there are any statutes of limitations to its terms. Maybe we could find ways of generating revenue to foster senior programs and events for our seniors. And I am awaiting for the OPA request, and I was told it's going to be many weeks before I can get it. So I just wanted you to let you know, I don't see any reason why we can't get it. It's got to be stored somewhere, you know. The other thing is, I would like to know when the purchase order for the water fountain and its installation at the DPAC Sports Complex will be approved. I was told that it is awaiting 4 signatures. I don't know what the holdup is, because the purchase order has just been put in now, and I had spoken to Dan about it. I've spoken at prior council meetings about plastics and the dangers of plastics in our drinking water, and that plastics have been found in people's brains and all the organs in the human body. So tonight I have a special announcement on the award-winning documentary film that is available to the public for viewing, and it's called, quote, Plastic People. It's free, and you can go there Wednesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. at the Williams Center Theater in Rutherford, New Jersey. There's also going to be some questions and answers there also after that. So I think it's, just wanted to make the public know about this. It's in the Rutherford Williams Theater on April 30th at 7 p.m. and it's free. Okay. When it comes to protecting people, it's the government's first priority. Now, Governor Murphy is forbidding local police to work with and cooperate with immigration officers in the apprehension of criminal immigrants. He is not protecting citizens that voted for him, and the people never voted for a sanctuary state. And I would hope that something would be done along that line, that we can have our police department work with ICE on apprehending criminals. I don't know if it's against the law, because Murphy made the law. I don't know. Anyway, so there was a couple other things I wanted to talk about, and I kind of skipped my mind right now. What was that? Well, I got a minute and 21 seconds to think about it.
Last night.
No. I'll come back another time and talk about the other items. There were two other items I wanted to talk about, and I forgot to write them down. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Ori Katzin. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. As Paul mentioned about plastics, how dangerous it is, something close to the lifestyle that I've adopted a few years ago. Just to let you know, I saw the research on items around the kitchen that we absorb pieces of plastics from. One of the main one, plastic cutting boards. Many people do not want to use wood cutting boards because they're hard to clean, and some of them absorb pieces of food. And they turn to plastics, which are easier to clean. However, they found that every time you cut on plastics, cutting boards, little chips of the plastics actually come apart and go into the food. Plus other plastic containers, when you store foods for a long time, part of the plastics are going into the food. So that is something that people should keep in mind, and thank you for bringing up that subject. The other subject that I was very excited to listen this afternoon to Robert F. Kennedy with his announcements on some of the regulations and some of the limits that they're going to impose on food companies. So he was talking about the recommended amount of sugar, daily amount of sugar that the government is going to propose now. As we know, until now, it has been 21 grams of sugar. It's the European one, I'm sorry. The European one is 21 grams. In the United States, the FDA recommends up to 50. But the actual recommended that the government is going to announce very soon is 0. None of us should consume sugar. Sugar is the source of all evil, and none of us should consume that, okay? Someone on this council, which I very much appreciate, Tom Kelly, I would call you to, if you have not shipped those sweets, those Halloween sweets to the kids of Ukraine, they don't deserve to be poisoned by sugar. So please, okay, that place, those sweets should find their way right into the dumpster. They should not be consumed by any person nor any mammal. Okay. I heard some of the budget being read in here by the police. I just want to mention this. I'm not going to go into a specific. I'll save it for next week. 26 municipalities in New Jersey in 2024 lowered their annual budget. 26 municipalities. I'm looking for the day that Oradell is going to be one of them. Hopefully, we can get to that with all the financial people that are on this council, with all the degrees and all the experience that you guys have, you may find out. And the reason is that if this country is going to get this summer into some kind of a stagnation, recession, or whatever they call it now, and the residents of Oradell are not going to get an extra source of income, or they may have lost some money in the stock market for their retirement, and they're worried about how they're going to come up with the extra money to pay, I think it will be wise to also consider reducing some of the items that are being proposed. I see people come over here and everyone has a wish list. But take it from a personal point of view of residents of Oradell. Sometimes when you don't increase your income, you have to settle for less and postpone some expenses for the following budget year. So I wish you do that. And to end, I will also remind the council that in 5 weeks, Memorial Day is here. Okay, I will give later Mr. Carnaval my proposal for the ordinance to memorialize people, and it's on my mind, and I'm on a mission. As I mentioned, I would like to honor Sergeant David Salinas. Okay, this April marks 2 years that the entire town stood along the roads in his farewell ceremony, and to David Salinas before he was buried in Arlington. And we just need to remember that the people in this town remember, and we need to do something to memorialize Sergeant Salinas and hopefully, no future fallen heroes, policemen, firemen, but we need to come up with a fair way to honor the fallen. So my proposal, which I have a copy of it, and I'm going to give it to you, Mr. Carnaval, is here. So hopefully you'll act on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Motion to close public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I will motion to open the public for consent agenda items only.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone have anything on the consent agenda items? All two of them?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to spare our report tonight due to our work on the budget.
Vote on the consent agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. We're here later than we normally are, so my mind is drifting. I apologize. Does any member of the council have any questions on the consent agenda or wish to pull any resolution for further discussion or separate vote? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Steph?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, reports. I'm only going to say two things because I know that they'll be elaborated on under two committee reports. I want to extend a huge welcome to our new recreation director, Mr. David Torres. We have high expectations for him. He has a lot of work before him. We have great faith that he's going to be a moving force in redefining recreation in Oradell, so we wish him the best of luck. Secondly, I have for the last 2 years entertained the kindergarten grade of Oradell Public School here for Local Government Appreciation Week. And not last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, we had the kindergarten here to hear from different departments of the municipality. I happened to just finish my talk, and they were moving on to speak with the police department. When they were dispatched to Riverdale High Schools, they had been alerted of a potential threat at the school by the FBI. All I want to say is I cannot be prouder as the mayor of this community to have seen the expedience, professionalism, and dedication that they responded to that potential threat and cleared the threat within approximately 35 minutes. There were other law enforcement agencies that responded to assist them. I don't think this could have worked any better than it did. Unfortunately, they had to depart here in the middle of their talk with the kindergartners, but I couldn't be prouder of our police department and their response and how they handled that situation. So I just wanted to put that out there. Administration, Ordinance, Planning, Zoning, Building, and Historical, Council President Carnival.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 ordinances that are up for adoption this evening. Ordinance number 25-2 is ready for final reading.
Will the Borough Clerk read ordinance number 25-2 by title only?
An ordinance authorizing the Borough of Oradell to acquire certain real property for public purposes identified as a portion of the block of Block 407, Lot 4, Oradell, New Jersey, pursuant to the local lands and buildings law under NJSA 4812-1 et sec.
Has ordinance number 25-2 been published in full, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the general public?
Yes.
Is there any member of the general public who wishes to be heard concerning this ordinance?
All listeners, I know that we got $500,000 as a grant to spend, and I don't know if we're purchasing this property. I believe this is the property next to the church here and around the corner here on the corner property. Is that the one? And also, I want to know what's going to be. What are we going to do with this acquisition? Were we going to tear that building down, or are we going to fix it up and sell it, or?
So I'll let Mr. Bailey answer the first part due to the fact that we have ongoing contractual negotiations. I can handle the what are we going to do with it part.
Yeah, the property question is, for lack of a better word, the rectory.
Yes.
House right here. This is actually all one lot, the church in that section. So if this is adopted, the borough would be purchasing that section of the property.
Right.
With $500,000 grant.
Right. And so what are we going to do with it?
So we're purchasing it as is. I don't believe that there's value remaining in the building. So the initial thought is that the building will be raised to clear the property for some interim use until the council determines what's going to go there in the future. The acquisition is being offset by the grant that you mentioned.
Is there any thinking about are we going to build anything there, or is it going to be a parking lot?
Don't know just yet.
We don't know, but we're just spending $500,000 and we don't know what we're going to do with it.
No, we're making a strategic acquisition, Paul.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ori Katzen, I just want to ask, it says that the fair market value was $500,000. Is that number was obtained? I would like to know how that number was obtained.
Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, the borough had an appraisal done by the borough's appraiser, and actually the fair market value on the appraisal was $605.
Bill, you got to turn your microphone on.
Sorry. Actually, the appraised value was $605, but with the negotiations with the Annunciation Church, they knew we had $500,000, and they agreed to that figure.
And was it ever available to the public, or it's not something?
I don't know if...
Because I know it's close, right, a block from Kinderkamak Road. That property must be...
It's a silence your phones.
Had the meeting on before, sorry.
I don't know if they tried to market it privately.
Okay, because it just sounds a little low.
It's a good deal for the borough.
Sam Tripsis, 327 Maple Avenue. That building that we're talking about, I don't know if you know the background of it. That was the original Black and Stone pharmacy that was right next to the building here at the turn of the century. And when they built the Annunciation Church here, they moved it around the corner to where it is in the parking lot. Our master plan encourages adaptive reuse, and so far we've got tear downs. So I don't know how good it would look to go against our own master plan and tear down a building that we don't encourage. So I would hope that's not an option. I've gone to many towns where they have an annex. That would make a great annex to the town hall if we were crowded here. You move a department in there, whether it be the building department or finance or whatever, or one or two. I don't know how big it is inside, but it's a convenient location to walk across the parking lot. And you should look into other towns that have done that. So I just hate to see. I'm not going to say it's designated historic, but it is part of the fabric of the town, and they went to a lot of trouble to move it around the corner. In those days, they tore down less buildings. They moved them. They had the technology and they did it. So, once again, I'd hate to see that as an option. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Does any member of the council wish to discuss this ordinance further?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 25-2 be passed on final reading and published in the Bergen Record on Monday, April 28th, 2025.
Second.
Laura, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance number 25-3 is ready for final reading.
Will the Borough Clerk read ordinance number 25-3 by title only, please?
Calendar year 2025, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank under NJSA 48:4-45.14.
Has ordinance number 25-3 been published in full, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the general public?
Yes.
Is there any member of the general public who wishes to be heard concerning this ordinance?
Ori Katzin. If I recall, last meeting, you said that the raising the cap, whoever explained it here, they keep the money up to 3 budget years. Am I correct? I think 3 budget years. My question is, where will the money be? Will it be invested? Will it earn interest? Because if it's just going to be the same money and it doesn't earn any interest and it doesn't work for the town, I understand that this money is designed for emergency use in case we exceed the budget for whatever expense we have, but I'd like to see that money being invested and earn interest, fair market interest, and actually be invested in a safe place.
Thank you. Does any member of the council wish to discuss this ordinance further?
I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 25-3 be passed on final reading and published in the Bergen Record on Monday, April 28th, 2025.
Second.
We have a roll call, please, Laura.
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
So, Mayor, with administration, no updates to report, although I understand that we have a meeting for both the Ordinance Committee and the Administration Committee scheduled for April 28th, and it's a full packed agenda, so I look forward to that. The Planning Board met on April 1st, where we approved one resolution and began to hear testimony on the 420 Kinderkamak Road project. The 420 project was carried over to the May meeting. The board also received an update on the master plan reexamination project and the associated housing plan update being done in conjunction with the new affordable housing legislation. The next meeting of the board is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6th at 7:30 p.m. The zoning board met last evening where they approved 2 resolutions and as well the application for the United Way Special Needs Housing Project on Genther Avenue. The next meeting of the board is scheduled for Monday, May 19th at 7:30 p.m. I believe the Historical Committee will be meeting next Monday and will provide a report for that meeting afterwards. And one other comment, Mayor. I admire Mr. Katzen's passion for wanting to honor David Salinas, but we did meet with the Salinas family, and we had a very good discussion, and we're going to honor their wishes on how they want to further honor their son's memory in our town. And I just wanted my colleagues on the council to know that. And that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Public Safety, Emergency Management, Board of Health, and Municipal Drug Alliance. Councilman Staff.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee met on April 4th, where we discussed traffic calming measures on the Kinder-Kamak corridor, policy changes with respect to cell phones for OPD senior leadership and detective, as well as preparing for the upcoming religious holidays and school events like proms and graduations. We also discussed, upon council confirmation, initiating the search for 2 new police officers due to recent departures. OEM provided an update with their operational master plan for emergency preparedness. Little did we know that later that week, OPD would receive a threat that triggered a lockdown of all of our schools, OPS, Riverdale Middle School, Riverdale High School, Bergen Catholic, and St. Joseph's. This call was one no one wants to receive. Oradell Police Department activated all necessary resources timely with an appropriated response reflecting the reported threat. OPD's execution was flawless, professional, and operationally excellent. Well done, and we thank you, OPD leadership. I would also like to point out that Riverdale High School's Class 3 officer was in the building and was instrumental in neutralizing the situation. I remind everyone that Riverdale Middle School and High School both have a Class 3 officer on staff, with Bergen Catholic moving forward to have one on campus very soon. Mayor Koth, both lieutenants, and I are meeting with Oradell Public's leadership to advance the discussion of a Class 3 officer for that building. Board of Health met last week as well. We discussed Narcan boxes, reviewed the county health report, and upcoming Oradell Stigma-Free Committee's annual Mental Health Awareness Night on June 28th at the Sports Illustrated Stadium in Harrison, where the Red Bulls will be taking on the Minnesota United. Details are under the Oradell Stigma-Free page on the borough's website. And lastly, the American Red Cross is planning a blood drive on August 18th at the Senior Center with details to come. And that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Staff.
Mayor, just a quick question, Councilman. Can you please educate me on the Class 3 officer or mayor? Just the difference. Or is there a to a regular officer? Is there any
Retired law enforcement officer.
Retired. Okay.
Special legislation authorized this class of a retired officer to serve and supplement school security.
Thank you.
Library, OPTV, Economic Development, Councilman Tashjian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I have nothing to report.
Thank you very much. DPW, Boards of Education, Councilman Kern.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I defer to our engineer, Dave, if you have anything, any updates or notifications that you'd like to mention.
Sure, just real brief. So I did receive a call from PSC&G late last week. They advised us that they're going to be paving the western section of their project. They have agreed to do curb-to-curb paving through there. They did request that we provide them with a letter or email just denoting that the borough is accepting of that, that allowing them to do curb-to-curb paving through that section. So didn't know if that's something you want from our office, from the administrator, or however you guys want to do that, but something you guys can discuss. So that's really what I have to update you guys on. I mean, that's a huge savings to the borough.
Yes, Dave, the only other thing is we need to get back to PSC&G on reviewing the new luminaires that they're proposing to replace along the Kinder-Kamak corridor, which will come at no cost to the borough. where they're using the existing poles, but they're upgrading all of the luminaires to LED. But we need to get back to them on just light distribution, foot candles, and so forth.
Yeah, so we did reach out to Dave Murphy, who is the lighting consultant that PSE&G utilizes, so we could do a comparison of the current lights versus the proposed. So we have that information, and we're going to do an analysis of that and get back to you guys on that.
Okay. I would say if there's a way to provide greater light coverage, that would be of a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just a difference of the optics or something else and how the LEDs arranged, I think that providing more lighting than is there right now would be desirable by the borough.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking at now, just so you have an idea of the differential between the two of them and if it provides additional coverage for you guys. I would assume it's probably, with the LED technology, obviously it's more consistent where you, as far as your spread on it, so.
Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Thank you. So the DPW committee met on April 16th at a special meeting to discuss road paving projects currently in the works and being planned out for the future. The DPW committee also has a regular scheduled session upcoming on Tuesday the 29th to discuss other issues. In the meeting, we reviewed the moratorium for our roads lasting 7 years for road maintenance, with ongoing projects, and evaluated the paving program with PSE&G from prior year. We also reviewed the maps outlining the paving work that's slated for this year. The committee acknowledged that there is an ongoing funding concern regarding the budget for these upcoming projects. We need to make sure we confirm the exact amounts of what we have in our capital budget for the roads, which is now estimated around $1.2 million, not considering the next year's capital budget, but for what we have now, $1.2 million approximately in our coffers. As a committee, we agreed to prioritize the Midland Avenue project, which will pave the roads around the Midland Avenue area. And we will continue to try to work to offset any costs associated with that work. Initial costs for the project vary from $500,000 to $860,000, with a discussion on fully curbing that area as well, which would overall give a larger impact on the financing for the project. We also have been notified that PSE&G would like to add on to the project ongoing to pave the roads on the east side of the Hackensack River for next year in the Beechwood Country Club section. We are in talks with PSE&G on waiving permit fees associated with the project in exchange for road paving work that would continue to offset the cost of the borough and the rest of the project. The potential agreement would hopefully save the borough maybe around $50,000 to $60,000 in road paving work. We will need a better estimate on our part for the project and how it will cost the borough for the projected paving schedule in 2026. Lastly, the committee agreed to add another $300,000, as is discussed earlier, in capital budget requests to basically highlight the requests already centered around the projects that we have in our coffers already. These extra funds can help facilitate road paving of roads that have been neglected for some time, that roads that are on our radar but we have not yet gotten to because of other infrastructure matters. Hopefully, with that extra request, that can help us knock off any maybe 6 or 7 roads on our list that that are pretty much deteriorated and need a little bit better repair for the future. So that's all I have in my report.
Thank you, John. Fire Department, Technology, Communications, Rec, Special Events, Councilman Gullo.
Thank you, Mayor. Just again to reiterate, it's great to have David Torres on board in terms of our new Director of Recreation here at Oradell. He's already implemented a lot of great things. His focus right now is our summer camp, which starts on June 23rd to July 25th. Currently, registration is quietly open on the website. but there will be formal communication via email as well as the borough website later this week. So anyone who is interested, certainly look on oradell.org. The other thing is we are looking for camp counselors. The application date is by May 12th. And more information, again, on the Oradell website. The last thing I'd like to share is there is a general mailbox now for the Recreation Department. It is recreation@oradell.org. That's it.
Thank you, Ted. Finance, Environmental Beautification, and Senior Advisory, Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, the main focus has been the budget, which we've gone through tonight, and so appreciate again all the effort from the council and our administrator and CFO and the rest of the team here. Just a couple of dates. We talked about budgets, but next Wednesday, the 30th, at the Senior Center, our tax assessor has agreed to meet with the public once again and our seniors to go through all of the opportunities out there to save on taxes and the state programs, the anchor tax, New Jersey Save. There are some that you need to fill out. I think he went through that, fill out some forms. There's various programs there on how to save money on our taxes. So that's 11 o'clock at the Senior Center, open to the public. The other date is May 1st. That is the final day. Obviously, as the auditor mentioned, the assessed value or the average home value went from $630 to $792. So if people still want to kind of contest there or have discussions about that appraisal, May 1st is the deadline, so that's next week. He'll be there again to speak about that next Wednesday. We mentioned also we're just a pass through. May 7th is the Oradell Public School open budget meeting, that at 7:30. If anybody wants to hear about that, where your funds are going over there. So again, we need to get those budgets, confirmation they've been approved, and then we set our budget. To the residents' point about the resolution tonight, 25-3, that's just a safety valve. That's not, we're not raising that money if we needed that. That's what, if emergency comes up. So there's not going to be any funds going anywhere. That's why we're putting that into place, and I think that's state mandated, I'm pretty sure. And finally, in terms of finance, the best news really, through the hard work and the negotiations of our administrator and our CFO, we have negotiated an increase in the funds, to the residents' point, of what we're earning on our cash, effective immediately a couple of weeks ago, which should help us realize probably in the area of $70,000 to $80,000, $90,000 a year in additional interest earned. So it's a competitive market out there, so that's wonderful news, and that's on an annual basis. In terms of environmental, again, to the residents' point about movies and plastics, et cetera, in other towns, this Saturday is Earth Day. We have a vibrant program starting at 9 a.m. at Memorial Field, so all helpers and volunteers are welcome. Outdoor program from 9 to 12, working with our fifth graders to clean up the Memorial Pond and our STEM group, I guess, at the public school, as well as our volunteers here. So we'll have pickers and garbage trucks and things like that to clean up the areas over there, the parks and the playground. Both. Anything. I think we usually have a good group over there. So I'll be there at 8:30, 8:45, and to anybody who wants to help out, and it's a good community day. That's followed 12 to 2. We will have in the library an interactive green fair with videos about plastic, demonstrations on styrofoam, PSC&G, energy savers. So that's going to be in the library from 12 to 2, and then I believe after at 2, there's going to be a program from the woman or resident who designed the murals in town. So it'll be a good day this Saturday, the 26th. A week from Saturday is the shredding day for the borough at DPW from 9 to 12 for residents. So that's usually in a swap shop, et cetera, be open that day. That's well attended. That's a week from this Saturday. And we're looking at May 17th and then potentially the 18th for planting day for the flower pots around town, so we can always use help. It's a good day to get out there and do some work and help the borough out. And the other items were the bench program, plastics program in full swing again with dedicated, passionate volunteers that are collecting plastics and sorting it and bringing it down to supermarkets. And we do have a number of benches that hopefully with some of these grants we just spoke, we can put those benches on some of those paths. We look to, in the very near future, put one on the path between Commander Black and Deepak. We've located a spot there, but we do have others that are ready to go. We mentioned also, just with the Senior Center, the Arts Festival is the 8th of June, just to ensure that building, I'm not sure the time set, but we're going to need access that day for, there'll be a couple of thousand people. And then also with public safety, we've always used their help in terms of traffic control and crowd control, et cetera, or parking that day. So just if the borough administrator get that on your calendar, that's June 8th. We appreciate all the help there, so we look forward to that. And a couple of other dates, May 9th at the Senior Center at 7 p.m. We're going to have Monroe Quinn and Beverly Field resident performing, so at 7 p.m. That'll be a nice event down there. Again, I have laboriously cleaned out pretty much every corner of that room, that building, so it's in good shape now, and we look forward to if there's any potential new kitchen there, and I think that's it. The other thing I want to mention, the Special Events Committee had a nice Easter Bunny day, or egg day, and a special thanks to Eric Schuler. I thought it was a Loch Ness Monster, but he did a good job as the...
Don't spoil it for the kids.
I'm sorry, as the Easter Bunny, but yeah, that was a nice day, and good job, everybody. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Administrator's report?
Yes, this Friday, Mr. Hatch, he's our consultant for the grant application to the Historical Trust. That's going to be submitted this Friday. If you recall, we had conversations when he was here. There were various levels of grants we could apply for. It was the unanimous feeling we should apply for the $80,000 grant, which is they help you prepare for construction. That grant is $80,000. It's a 3-to-1 match. If we are successful, the state will provide $60,000 and we provide $20,000. So, and we're highly optimistic we're going to be in the winner's circle. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, with the passage of Ordinance 25-2 a little while ago, we will hopefully have the contracts are already prepared, and we've gone back and forth with the other attorney already. The language is all worked out. Hopefully get them executed tomorrow and order the title search and move as quickly as possible to get to a closing date.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Dave, going forward, you have your own report on the agenda now. So
I do?
Don't duplicate it. You've already given it tonight.
I'm done. We don't need to talk anymore. I missed that. I was on.
Take a motion for...
Save that.
So a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Their ambitions alive and well today.
All that and more coming up.